Our story begins in a remote Colorado lodge, where best-selling author Paul Sheldon is putting the finishing touches on his latest manuscript. Paul, known for his wildly popular romance series featuring Misery Chastain, has decided it's time to end her story and move on to new creative ventures. With the manuscript complete, Paul celebrates by following his tradition, driving back home through the picturesque but unforgiving snowy mountains. But fate has other plans. While driving, Paul encounters a sudden snowstorm. The roads become slick, visibility drops, and Paul loses control of his car. The vehicle skids off the road and crashes into a snowy ditch, leaving him unconscious and gravely injured. All seems lost, but salvation comes in the form of a stranger, Annie Wilkes. Annie Wilkes, a local woman, discovers Paul's wrecked car and rescues him. She takes him to her secluded farmhouse, where he awakens to find his legs in splints and himself unable to move. Annie introduces herself as his #1 fan, thrilled to have. Annie explains that the storm has knocked out the phone lines, leaving them cut off from the outside world. At first, Paul is grateful for her care. Annie seems kind, doting, and utterly devoted to his work. As Paul recovers, he begins to suspect there's more to Annie than meets the eye. One day while she's out, he explores her house and makes a horrifying discovery. Annie has a dark past. Paul finds evidence of Annie's violent tendencies and disturbing history. She's not just a fan, she's dangerous. Paul realizes he isn't just a guest in her home. He's her prisoner. Paul knows his only hope is to escape. Despite his injuries, he begins to gather tools and resources in secret. Every moment alone becomes an opportunity to plan his getaway, and every interaction with Annie becomes a nerve-wracking test of his composure. Annie, however, is far from oblivious. As Paul grows bolder in his attempts to outwit her, Annie's punishments become increasingly severe, testing his physical and mental limits. The tension reaches a boiling point when Annie discovers Paul's secret plans. Enraged, she takes drastic measures to ensure he can never leave her. Her unpredictability and violent outbursts leave Paul in a state of constant fear. Annie's obsession drives her to commit unthinkable acts, forcing Paul to confront the full extent of her madness. With his life on the line, Paul must summon every ounce of strength to survive. Paul's desperate situation builds to a final confrontation. His attempts to outsmart Annie become increasingly daring, but her vigilance makes every move a gamble. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the suspense is almost unbearable. Will Paul escape the clutches of his captor, or will Annie's obsession seal his fate forever?